Alright, now we're doing lesson 5 in my Piano Lessons Gone Nuts series. Hopefully you really listened to lesson 4. I know it was long, but a lot of information in there. You might need to take it in chunks, not do the whole thing at once. But anyway, we did the key of C, and we discussed, the scale degrees and what it means to be in a key. We're going to take this formula for this major scale, and we're going to make another scale. Okay? I'm going to take these letters out, and you're going to help me do this. Aren't you? Okay. So we just did the key of C. Now we're going to do the key of G, and we're going to apply the formula, and we're going to learn the diatonic, the 7 diatonic scale degrees in the key of G. Okay? So let's do it. Let's start on G. G's my number 1. Okay, now we're in a different country. Remember I said it's like being in a different country. Different set of rules, but still pretty much the same. And the different rules would be because it's different letters. We're going to use different letters here, but you're going to see it's very much the same. G's my first scale degree. Now, remember we said sharps go this way? Do you remember how many sharps G had? You should know that it has 1 sharp in the key signature. And you also should know what that sharp is. And I'll go ahead and tell you, it's F sharp. But let's see why there's an F sharp in the key of G. Okay, watch. Have you ever played a scale? G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. It doesn't sound right if I don't sharp the F. That's what we're used to, the F sharp. Alright, second scale degree, what do? We go a whole step. How far is it to go a whole step from G to A? I mean, from G to the next. I just told you the answer, didn't I? A. It's not G sharp, right? It's G to A because that's a whole step. So here I go. Second scale degree in the key of G is A. Now, what was A in the key of C? Do you remember? In the key of C, A was the 6th scale degree. So A had a different function, even though it's the same note, the same pitch. A was the 6th scale degree here in the key of C, but now in the key of G, it's the 2nd scale degree. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, here I need another. Wait, I messed this up. No, I didn't. A to B is going to be another whole step. Let's see. I needed to move this over a little bit because it's not lined up. There we go. Okay. G to A is a whole step. A to B is another whole step. Okay. Now, for my 4th scale degree, I've got to do a half step. So where do I go get a half step from B? Where do I go to? I go to C. There's a natural half step right there on the piano from B to C. So B to C is our half step. Now, from 4 to 5, I need a whole step. So I'm going to do a whole step here from C to D. And then D to E, I'm going to do another whole step. Now, here's where the F is coming up. I need a whole step, okay? I don't need a half step. If I go E to F, that's a half step. I need a whole step. So I'm going to go to F, the letter F, and I'm going to call it F sharp. Now, here's a question for you. Why don't I just call it G flat? Isn't F sharp and G flat the same sound, same pitch? Yes, it is. But if I want to make it look like the key of G, I need 7 letters. G is my last letter here when I go back to 1. And I want 7 letters. I'm not going to call it G flat and then G natural because then it looks weird for a scale. I need it to go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No matter what sharps or flats are in it, I need those 7 letters. I need all 7 letters in every one of these keys. Okay, so I'm going to call it F sharp because E to F sharp is a whole step. Now naturally when we go to F sharp to G and we're playing the 1 again, that's a half step, isn't it? F sharp to G is already a little half step there, so that works out. It all works out if you keep doing that formula. So that's the key of G, okay? Now I want to do one of the keys, one of the flat keys. And you can do each one of these. But let's do the key of F, okay? We'll go this way on the circle of fifths. I'm going to start with F. F is 1. Okay, my first scale degree. G will be my next scale degree because that's my formula, whole. So F, G, A. So I started on F. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. But now I need a half step. Where do I go? I don't go to B, do I? I go to B flat because I need the letter to be B because it's the next letter. So I'm going to call it B flat. I'm not going to call it A sharp. I've already used the letter A. I'm going to call it B, and I need to call it flat so that we have our half step. F, A, G, B flat. Now I need what? I need a whole step. So that makes me go to C. My next letter is going to be C. So B flat, B, C is a whole step. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F, there's our half step that we need. E to F, okay? So, see how I'm using this formula to create the keys? We did the key of C, which is neutral, G with 1 sharp, F, the key of F with 1 B flat. Now let's do a tough one. Let's do 2 tough ones. We don't have time here to do every one of them, but that would be a good exercise for you. In fact, I would assign that to you if you were my student in the class, is to go through each key and write out the scale degrees for each key. Let's do a tough one. Let's do 6 sharps here with F sharp, okay? Now you know what? I could go ahead and write in my letters, right? I don't know, or maybe you don't know yet what the sharps, what's going to be sharped and what's not going to be sharped, but I know that I have to have 7 letters, right? In fact, I could have left that F up there, couldn't I? I'm going to put all my letters, and then I'm just going to put the sharps in. Where they go, because I know I have to have those 7 letters. Alright, so we have F sharp to start with, so I'm going to put a sharp there. Okay, now when I go to G, I'm going to sharp that, because to go a whole step, okay, you should know that F sharp has 6 sharps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one has 6. And the sharps are what? F, C, G, D, A, E. The only thing that's not sharped in the key of F sharp major is the letter B. And we'll see that. F sharp, G sharp. Now, a whole step from G sharp is to A sharp, because I got to stay with my whole steps. So A sharp. Alright, now I need a half step from A sharp to the letter B. And there it is. It happens naturally. So I'm not going to sharp the B, I'm just going to call it B. Now I need a sharp again because I need a whole step from this scale degree to this one to get a whole step. So B to C sharp is a whole step. Not a very good looking sharp, but you get the idea. C sharp to D sharp is another whole step. Now the next one, watch this. My next letter is E, but I need from D sharp to the next letter to be a whole step. I can't do E here because that's only a half step. I got to go a whole step. So that puts me on this key. So what are we going to call that? We're going to call it E sharp. That's why, friends, we don't call this note F. And some people say, well, I'm just going to call it F. I don't want to call it E sharp because that's weird. We need to call it E sharp so that it looks like a scale. Okay? We need the letter E. Okay? And that's why we're going to use E and then just call it E sharp. And then F sharp will be the last one. So there I counted for all my whole steps and half steps. Then I have. So there's the key of F sharp major. We'll do one more. We'll do a flat key, a hard flat key. All right, let's do let's flat them all. Let's do 7 flats. So I'm going to write my letters first because I can do that. All right. There are my letters. I'm in the key of C flat. We hardly ever play in that key, but let's discuss it for you know, the purpose of understanding the theory behind it. Okay. everything's flatted, isn't it? Because when we get here, we have 7 flats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Every letter's flat. All right, C flat is my first note. Now, look, I'm not going to call it B because I'm not in the key of B. I'm in the key of C flat. Yes, the key of B will sound exactly the same. It will not look the same on paper at all, but it'll sound exactly the same. C flat. Now I need a D flat for my whole step. I need an E flat for my next whole step. And now I need, I'm sorry. Wait, what did I do? Yeah, all right. F flat. There we go. I got mixed up myself. C flat, D flat, E flat. F flat is that note because we need to call it F. We don't need to call it E. I've already used the letter E for the 3rd scale degree. Now F needs to be F flat. C flat, D flat, E flat, E, or F flat. My brain has trouble with this. I just hear the key of B when I do it. That's why it's hard for me, this particular key. Alright, F flat, and then I'm going to go to G flat because I need a whole step. And then when I go to A flat, I need another whole step. And then to B flat will give us the next whole step we need. And then the half step at the end is C flat. See, B flat to C flat is that scale degree there. Alright, so hopefully you understand now the formula for a major scale, how to make a major scale from any one of these keys on our circle of fifths, and then we can go after that and really start building chords and things like that with our 7 diatonic scale degrees.